this video, I'm going to show you how to paint a rose in watercolor using Canson watercolor paper, Jane Davenport watercolor palette, and then a water brush. So the first thing that you want to do with a rose is create the inside petals. The inside petals you're going to think about a C shape, and you're going to make it nice and tight so that instead of having it elongated like this, you're going to make it tight on the inside and it's going to interlock with each other. So you're going to start by making C shapes that interlock with each other, and then as the rose opens up, these C shapes are going to become wider and they're going to spread out. So think about that when you start creating your rose shapes. Just think about making the letter C and then opening it up. So get some water on your palette and put some red into it. Then start with a lot of red on the tip of your brush so that it's a nice concentrated color on the inside. The inside of the rose is going to be darker, and then as it opens up and the petals get more light, it's going to become lighter. So first create your C shapes, nice and tight. And what you want to do is start out with putting less pressure on your brush on the tip, and then more pressure as you create that C so that it gets wider on the center part, and then again a little less pressure on the tip, and it will pull up. And then do another C shape interlocking. So start in the center, push as you go out, and then lift up as you come up. Don't worry if it gets a little lighter or darker, that's okay, it will give some variety. The thing that you don't want is to be a perfectionist. With watercolor, you want to have a little bit of give and take, a little bit of play, a little bit of light and dark. So you don't want it to be perfect. That's what will make it look too cheesy and not real. The more imperfect you are, the more real it's going to look. So we're going to do one more curve shape that's tight. Again, start out light and then go heavy, and then come back light again. Then get more of the paint and water on your brush, and you're going to start making bigger C shapes, so they're going to flatten out a little bit. So go light on the tip and then press heavy to make it fatter. Your C doesn't have to be perfect either. It's okay if it has some little ups and downs and ridges, because that's going to be more lifelike of a petal. So put your brush down, make it go thick, bring it back in. And right now, while it's wet, it's okay to add a little bit more color to the edges and this inside, because that's what a rose kind of does. It has a little bit more color concentrated on the inside, and then as it opens up, the petals get a little lighter. So keep going around, making your petals. And you want to leave little bits of white gaps. That's what's going to help your petals to be distinguished from one another. So keep going around, making more petals. Some can be big, some can be little, just to give it some variety. You can add some little bits of color into the edges here, but don't go crazy. Try not to overwork your painting, just let it be. Just keep going around. You can, if you need to make petals a little bigger, that's okay. And then we'll add a couple more here to finish it off. Okay, so right now it might look a little bit strange, not totally perfect, but that's okay. Once you add the leaves, it will feel more like a rose. So clean off your brush, and then we're going to make a nice dark green. I'm going to grab this emerald green here, but right now it's so teal that I'm going to add just a little bit of the red to it to neutralize it. So that's how you neutralize green, just add a little bit of red to it. You see it already looks just toned down a little bit more. And then I'll add just a little bit of this yellow green as well, just to give it a more natural color and not so crayon box. So what you want to do with the leaves are, first thing we'll do a couple of kind of V shapes here, just for the little parts that come off the stem. And then we'll keep our brush nice and light because you don't want the stem to be too fat. And just make it stem down. You can bend it a little bit so it's not perfect. And just make it come down. Then what you do for the leaves is I like to do a little zigzag outline, just little tiny zigzags to make that kind of zigzag shape of the rose leaf. So just do little tiny zigzags on one side, and then I'll do it on the other side as well, and then meet in the middle, and then I'll just fill it in, but I'll leave some white spots so that it's not perfect, and I'll make it just a little bit darker towards the end to give it some variety. You can put a little bit of the dark into this stem as well, just so that it gives a little variety in your leaves. And then you can pull some little stems out and do a couple of leaves off of them. So just keep doing that zigzag shape and then fill it in. It doesn't have to be perfect. Remember, it's okay to leave some of those white spots. And then you can also take a couple leaves off of the inside of the rose. Just put some dark into it. Maybe do another little stem that comes up so that leaf doesn't feel all left out. We'll just put another leaf in right here. And it's okay if it bleeds into your flower a little bit, it will make it a little bit more interesting. And then what I like to do is take a navy blue or a black and just make your green even darker. And just put a couple of lines down your leaves. Just to add even a little bit more depth. You can also wait till it dries a little bit more. And then one of my favorite things to do are some splashes. So I'm going to get a little bit more red on here, and I'm going to go ahead and make some splatters on my rose. I just love the splatter effect because I think it adds some interest and just some playfulness to a painting. So if you want the splatters to be bigger, get more water, and it will make larger splatters, and if you want small ones, then don't have as much water. Okay, so that's all for our rose watercolor painting. Remember to sign your name. And I hope you enjoyed this tutorial.